Zoom and you would have thought that 10 years ago. You know, crazy, absolutely.
We'll be in around 2 minutes.
Zoom and you would have thought that.
We're on part of it. And now we're right back to, FaceTime here. I'm bringing this one down.
Okay, I think we're good to go.
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. I would like to ask Mr. Sanders to establish a quorum.
Believe we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum. Members speaking, or no, compliance committee hearing. We would like to have you guys go to the bar, please.
No, thank you, Steve. Our state for this invitation, we had all that.
No touching the liquor, though.
Go to the bar.
Member speaking, Beth Coates is here to address us. Hi, Beth.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
Well, how are you?
You want to stand up or do you want to sit down? We have a huge audience, so you better stand up. No, I'm only kidding. Huge audience. Go ahead. Tell us, give us your 5-minute spiel. That's your time.
So I feel like I've kind of said my piece a number of times, but that's A-okay. I'm happy to be here, delighted to be here. So we've been trying to put in a swimming pool.
Having a hard time hearing.
You might have to come to
Yeah,
the little puck.
Come close to this, please.
And let me know if you could hear her better so I can make sure that mic
Yeah.
is on.
Okay,
Soft, I think.
Would you like to sit?
That's the speaker right there. So
I can hear now.
Go ahead. I don't understand. I'm gonna stand over here. How's that? Can you hear me now?
Awesome, perfect.
It's my teacher voice, okay? Let's go. So my husband and I have been trying to put in a swimming pool at 1357 Old Oak Lane. And we've had a bit of a roadblock. So we were supposed to break ground in April. And so we hired a contractor, did all the specs, did all the permitting, all that stuff, and then was told that it couldn't be built or put in without an additional cage over it. So we have a double lot. I don't know if you know that lot. It's kind of in the corner of Willow Bend with tons of space for a pool without a cage. And so we did a little bit of research and found out that Florida statute says that any bylaw shouldn't impede the improvement of your property and must be equitably enforced, which this bylaw is not, because there are other pools in our community that are uncovered. There are naked pools in this community, and I'm telling you about it. So that is a problem for all of us, because as written, if something should happen in one of these other pools, then we're all liable because it's not equitably enforced. And that includes a number of people in the community, and of course, our beautiful Junior Olympic size swimming pool, saltwater pool, and of course, the lovely pool at Wildcat. So, I mean, you can hop those fences pretty darn easily. Of course, we would adhere to Florida law that demands that you put fencing, which we of course would do, and that is Florida law. So bylaws, HOA laws, are not supposed to supersede or pretend to supersede Florida law. Point number 2. The property itself is a really, really lovely property. And we really, to our heart, feel that we are caretakers of that property. It was beautifully landscaped by our former owners, and we don't want to disrupt that. And we put in a new cage, put in underground lighting to enhance all the really, really beautiful landscaping that is there. And so an additional cage would really disrupt that. So again, we really, when I first started this project, my husband and I were really just thinking, how are we going to be least a construct of anybody else's property, of anybody else's, value. And so we just wanted to be innocuous. We didn't want to have any ripples. We didn't want to bother anybody. No one in this whole community is going to be able to see that pool. And so again, we put down over a $16,000 deposit and hired everybody, and have now been waiting since April to get this project going. Point number 3, prior to buying this property, and I don't want to not hurt your feelings at all, Daryl came up and spoke to Cezanne before he even bought the property. And Cezanne does a fabulous job here. We should cherish all of the work that she does, because it's a real pain in the butt, all the work that she does. And she does it, and she does it well. But he asked, so what do we have to do to put in a pool? And she said, it has nothing to do with us. You go through Collier County. And so off we went. So that's what we did. So off we went. And then when it, we didn't even know that the Architectural Standard Committee had any voice or anything. We didn't know anything, that there was going to be all these repercussions. So here we are, and I really appreciate your time, and I don't want to take up any more time, but I just wanted to kind of reiterate where we were, and hopefully we can move forward and not cause any problems. I just want it to be done. That's all. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, well, thank you, Beth.
You're welcome. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having the floor. I'm gonna go home now. Can I go home now? Can I dismiss?
Sure. I don't know why you wouldn't stay, but.
Break your chair back.
Okay, the next agenda item is Secretary's Report by Rick.
Secretary, looking for approval of the minutes from June 26th. Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
Great.
John. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Approved. Okay, President's Report. I just have a quick report. Again, I want to thank Melanie for being here. She doesn't even start till August 4th, and she's already been in here a lot, and she's here today. So I welcome her and thank her for all of her efforts already, even though we're not paying her yet. The second thing I want to talk about, which I feel strongly about, is our transparency. And I know it's an overused word in today's society, but I really, really do believe in it. And I know a lot of people say it and don't do it, but I really think that we need to be transparent. And specifically on the agenda today about the Zoom minutes, the Zoom meetings. I just wanted to say that we already do it in person, so we're not really even changing our policy. We're just making it easier with technology. So I think that not doing that is going to really make it seem like we have something to hide when we don't. And I don't think that's worth any of the other speculative arguments. My personal opinion. Okay, General Manager Report. Melanie Miller.
Hello, thank you. Thank you. A couple of things, as Sue said, I've been trying to dive in and help Suzanne in Mark's absence and really try to start understanding what is projects in place, etc. So I wanted to go through a few things that I know everyone has been talking about. First, the 1046 Silver Strand Drive update, the firehouse. There has been progress. Inspections were completed just a couple of weeks ago or last week. Roof permit is pending. Cezanne, in your packet, the next couple of pages, did a really great job of putting together some detailed information to just help understand that while there hasn't been a lot of visible progress, there has been progress behind the scenes. And she went over with the ASC committee actually this morning, correct?
Yeah.
And it's one of the things we wanted to do is really understand what violations were out there and start that path. Our understanding from the trustee is they are now planning to sell as is. And that could sit for some time. the roof permit is about a six, before they try to enforce anything, could take up to 6 months. And so we're really trying to push progress on this by addressing the AFC and the violations and move the needle, because it is an issue for the neighbors around there. It's impacting the neighbors around there quite significantly, and so we want to move this along as best as possible. We are on top of it, making progress, working with the attorney and the trustee on that. And please stop me if you have any questions along the way. Palm tree trimming, we have a motion here to approve expert tree trimming. I believe before we talked about the hardwood tree trimming in the last. This is a quote on we did get 2 companies, Expert, which is our current vendor for landscaping, and we did have a second quote. They were really $100 different. So we prefer to just go with Expert since, they already know our property. So that's a motion on the table. If someone could move that.
I make a motion that we accept the expert tree trimming quote as Melanie just put it.
Got it.
Second,
Seconded.
John Irish, any discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Unanimous. Okay, Melanie.
The next item, I know there's been some discussion at the last couple of board meetings about employee bonuses, and what I talked to Steve about is I would like to propose that we work on a policy as management of when bonuses would be appropriate, what situations, additional duties in the most recent case, or situations that would prompt consideration of stipends or bonuses. And we work on that policy, put some parameters around it, put an approval process in place with the president and or one other member of the board as appropriate. We bring it back during the budget process. And so that we just have a very clear policy and there's no confusion or misunderstanding of how that will go forward. So that's my proposal on that topic. Legal items, the employee claim that was discussed at the last, we have set up mediation in October. I have made contact with the attorneys assigned by the insurance. Talked to Steve, and I believe Lucy's going to be in the mediation. We're working right now on compiling the documents that the attorneys assigned have requested. My understanding is their process will be 30 days prior to that mediation hearing. They will provide us with a very detailed report, executive report of their understanding, their expectation of loss, during mediation that they might expect as an outcome, any additional things that they feel that we need to know about or consider. The policy has, you can call it deductible, it's called a retention payment of $15,000 that this is under. But they're going to, so that's our minimal out of pocket right now. They don't believe at this stage that there is a large, any other large exposure. However, they still have to go through their process of reviewing all the documents. So that's where we're at. And I just wanted to give you an update on that. There was one other legal item outstanding, collection, non-payment. We're waiting on a response of that. Then the landscape RFP, Cezanne and I are working on that with the landscape committee and the discussions that we've had. We have identified 3 vendors, Cezanne and I, between ourselves, of either our current vendor, of course, and then 2 others that may do, like Stallman may do irrigation. They have a landscaping arm. They already know us. There's another vendor out there that I am acquainted with. So we have 3 identified vendors to get quotes from. We're working on updating that. And rather this tree trimming be separate and, we have to make additional decisions for tree trimming, we're going to try and include that in the landscaping RFP. So it's just all done at one time for the year.
Do we have a selection criteria for those?
We're gonna, typically, my process would be, determine the evaluation metrics before you get the RFP proposals back. And so we'll set up kind of a spreadsheet of what the really important things are. talk with the landscape committee and anyone else needing to involve and have that evaluation criteria set before we get responses to the RFP. So. And budget timeline, I believe everyone is informed of that, but we're working on that. I will dig in very diligently in August, because there's a lot of work to do in August on a budget timeline and a budget process. So I will work with Cezanne and support her through that process and back with her. The last thing I had was a hot tennis update report. It went out very recently, like just a couple of hours ago. So I know there hasn't been a lot of time to review that, but I have talked to a couple of you already today on that. I understand now better, after a couple of conversations, and open to any feedback you have today of what really the purpose of the request was and what information you'd like to have, which is a little different than what was produced. So I'm just taking this as a commitment to go back to the drawing board, revise this, sit with Cezanne and George, and really talk through kind of the purpose of the request and specifics on the request. And we'll bring something back at the next board meeting, more focused.
No, and I'd just like to say that I made the request, and my intent was what we have currently spent on the program that we instituted. Not speculation on how many people might quit and how many additional people we have to hire and all of that other nonsense that was in there. So I was just looking for how many people joined and how much have we spent on it to date? And that was it. And I didn't really want anyone else's speculation on hiring more people in the office for 4 people to come in. I don't really understand that one. 4 people have joined, so we need to hire more staff, and we need to do more grooming too. We need to do more grooming. I've never heard such nonsense in my life, to be totally honest with you. So I would like a report next month of what we've actually spent. And I would also say that we don't need additional hours in the office for 4 people. They come in when our office is open. We don't want any additional hours or any additional grooming. That's nonsense. And we're trying to keep this low, and we weren't intending to add more staff or do any of that other stuff. Ed?
Well, I totally agree, and especially the grooming aspect of it. It's been known all along that they groom the courts each morning, and then even on the weekends, they don't get groomed. So they get groomed on Friday, they don't get groomed on Saturday or Sunday, and then they get groomed again on Monday. So to come up with dollars for additional grooming just doesn't make sense. I also don't understand the lost guest fees from this. Because the people who are, well, it's the homeowners that are entitled to it, and they're basically stating here that there's 70 instances, according to this, where non-members are paying to play, and I doubt that number is accurate. It sounds pretty high to me. So the staffing in the office, sometimes I see 3 people in the pro shop. I don't understand. I've never questioned them on it, but I don't understand why they would ever need 3 people in the pro shop working.
Who sets the hours in the pro shop?
I don't know the answer to that. Does anyone know the answer to that?
The director of tennis used to schedule his hours with the staff.
So who would authorize additional hours that they put in?
That would go through our general manager or the director.
It would have been Mark. It would have been Mark.
Yeah, Mark oversaw the hours that Paul asked.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, you want to do Hartrue now too, Melanie?
Yes, I'm gonna ask Cezanne to give you an update on Hartrue. She spent quite a bit of time really reviewing the report and talking to them, and she did a really good update on that. So I'll ask Cezanne to give you an update on the Hartrue.
I guess you guys probably saw I think it was 2 or 3 page attachment that I sent out in the email yesterday for just a summary. It was my personal notes for the call that I had set up to try to understand the Hartrue report that was supplied to Sterling Oaks. Seeing that we're in Lux without a director of tennis and the general manager is in flux and we need to try to figure out the reserve study, I felt it was my responsibility to kind of set up a call and understand it. myself, because I had not a clue what I was looking at. So I set up a meeting with, his name is Ed and Lance. Lance was the one that actually performed the on-site inspection this time. Ed did it previously, and we kind of guesstimated Ed was probably out here in 16 or 17. I have another call with them tomorrow morning to try to get some more information that I was kind of left unanswered, or those recommendations and how they looked at the courts. When it comes to scheduling, and as I get more information, I'll share it. Once we have some recommendations, I'll work with their recommended contractors on trying to get some pricing to put forth, get Melanie in the loop and put forth in front of the finance committee and tennis committee first, when we want to schedule these 3 components: rebuilding, lasering, and reconditioning the courts, and try to get some schedules and pricing together.
And I know Mr. Mulligan would like some numbers, or we'd like to project this out 5 or 10 years where our courts are always in good shape and we have some kind of schedule of
Well,
when and where we're gonna do that.
It'll be a 30-year schedule.
30
That's
year.
what our reserves are. So, we always know that, like, right now Sterling Oaks currently resurfaces, or their terms recondition the courts every 3 years. They say 2 years. So we'll look at that schedule and see if we want to stay on our 3-year schedule or go with their recommendation.
Yep.
But
there will be budget implications for sure,
So
for sure.
we'll have to factor in, what the next 30 years look like. And obviously in 30 years, things are gonna change.
Yeah,
but we can-
and that gets updated.
Gets updated every
yeah.
year. Mhm.
So,
But more to follow. John Mulligan, go
Yes,
ahead.
well, first of all, I took a look at that. It looks very thorough. You guys did a good job on that. And getting all the costs, which is what we can need for the reserves and the budget. I get a couple questions. I have the laser grading that they're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't see that in the budget. I don't see that in the reserves now.
I don't think we've ever done it, although
Okay,
I spoke to Jim Moxley yesterday. Something in the really back of our brain thinks that we may have laser graded a court or 2, maybe 10, 11, and 12 in the last 3 years or so. But I haven't thoroughly been able to dig into, like, Paul's documents and our minutes to try to figure that out. So that's still in the back, but no, it's never been a schedule of ours.
okay.
yeah,
What is it though? Explain to him what it is, because you did to me. Go ahead.
I actually have a detailed note of exactly what laser grading means. Hold on, let me click. Removing the lines and tapes, making repairs to the curbing if necessary, deep sacrificing of the existing hard true surface, blending new hard true to it, laser grading the surface to the original scope to match the slope, install new line tapes, and making adjustments to the irrigation system.
it is a pretty typical routine process, so I'm glad we're going to add it. If not, it does help maintain the courts.
Yes.
All right, what else you got, John?
Yeah, and is reconditioning the same as resurfacing?
Yeah, they use the term reconditioning. We use
Okay.
the term resurfacing, or
Right,
they
we-
also refer to it as top dressing.
And we have that in the reserves already. So the only thing we don't have in reserves, at least that we know of, is that laser grading. That
Correct.
Might have to be added.
Correct, and I've asked them to help us determine, like the rebuilding structure, cause
Right.
they never came up to me in any of these conversations and clearly said, like, courts 1 and 4, which are scheduled in 2025, need to be replaced. We're not seeing that, so I asked them, give me your professional recommendation, when do you think they might need to
Yeah.
be replaced? So we
Right,
can just
okay.
fund appropriately, but like I said, I will get quotes regardless on the cost to replace 1 and 4 to update our reserve study. To make sure that the pricing we have in there is accurate.
Yeah, and the fencing and the other things were gonna be done by our guys? Is that what we're doing? The fencing? No?
No, the fencing is part of the reserve. We always outsource.
Outsource it?
It is
Okay.
something to look into, because right now in our reserve study, we have a fence life of 22. They say 10 to 15. We kind of replace as needed when a court is
Yeah.
rebuilt. But, that's something we can dig into
Okay.
too.
Right, yeah, so, all right, it's very good. I mean, so everything looks good. I think you guys did a good job and, we have the fencing, we have the replacement and the reconditioning. The only thing we don't have is, laser grading. So, okay, very good. Thank you.
More to come soon, Mr. Mulligan.
All right.
All right, all done?
I don't know, any other questions on that?
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Luz.
There was an email that went out from one of the residents on Silver Strand regarding that home that's the fire home. Is someone going to respond to that resident?
I believe you're talking about Deborah O'Connor.
Right.
I am touching base with her at least once a week. So
Okay.
I've been in contact with her and I'm keeping her updated.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's it for me.
Anyone else? Okay, where are we here? Committee and project team.
Treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report, how could I forget that?
You forget about me every damn month.
Never, John.
Don't take it personal, John.
All right, so we're halfway through the year and we're still in very, very good shape. Operating cash is $850,000. Total cash is 1.7 million. In the month in June, we had net income of $19,000 versus a budget of $26,000 for an unfavorable variance of $8,000. Tenants had a favorable variance to budget of $18,000 for the month. The year-to-date favorable variance to budget is $60,000 on net income of $114,000. This favorable variance for the month and year-to-date is mainly due to the payroll and related expenses. Also contributing to this is the favorable variance is the new lesson income structure, as well as lower department expenses. There's $4,000 of expenditures come from reserves and long-term capital, and we have $24,000 year-to-date. Tennis is on a pace to have their highest budget net income in the history of the club. This is great news. But before we get too excited, we also have in reserves the highest scheduled disbursement for tennis in history of the club. With that said, we had a consultant in, as Suzanne just talked about, so we're looking at that. But we're hoping that we've been conservative and maybe overestimated some of the amounts and or the time we have to do it. So bottom line is we're hoping that was overstated and we will make up some of that. Either way, tennis is doing a great job. Social had an unfavorable variance to budget for the month of $10,000 and has a year-to-date unfavorable variance to budget of $53,000. This is mainly due to two factors. First, we under budgeted for the added activities and additional hours at the cabana. Second, we are just not seeing the activity we normally expect, and therefore we have reduced sales at the cabana and restaurant. As I mentioned before, this is concerning. We are and will continue to look at this, especially as we start looking into the 26th season and budget. Since we're having low participation at Friday night dinners, we decided to cut back the dinners to twice a month. We hope to attract around the same number of customers, but cut the cost. Common areas had a favorable variance for the month of $12,000 and has a year-to-date favorable variance of $68,000. Since this is pretty much all maintenance and repairs for the community and not knowing when and if they will happen, we believe the majority of this is just timing. G&A had an unfavorable variance to budget for the month of $28,000 and has a year-to-date favorable variance to budget of $9,000. The current month variance is made up of timing of employee bonuses and capital contribution, which are the home resales. Okay. We're now halfway through the year, and the year-to-date income as of 6/30/25 is $179,000 versus a budget of $113,000 for a favorable variance of $66,000. That's it. Any questions?
Any questions for John? Sounds good, John. Sounds very, very good.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Committee project team reports, architectural standards, Rick Sanders.
Okay. So you heard Ms. Coates' presentation. I've been dealing with this for a while, both as her board rep, full disclosure there, and my standing as the liaison for the ASC. Steve was kind enough to visit the property with me a couple times. What I learned was that there were some existing pools in the community that were probably from early development, from the previous builders. The standard changed later on to require a pool cage. This is a little unusual in that it is a fairly large lot, as she explained back in the corner. We talked in the committee about offering a option for a pool offense, as long as it complied with Collier County rules. The current standard says every pool shall be enclosed in a screen cage constructed at the same time that the pool is constructed. See item 21 for screen enclosure standards. After deliberation for quite some time, the committee suggested changing this to this revision. Every pool shall be enclosed with either a screen cage or a code compliant fence, which must be constructed concurrently with the pool. The screen cage must comply with the architectural standards. Item 21, the fence must meet all applicable county and state regulations, including having a minimum height of 48 inches as a top barrier. A detailed description of the proposed enclosure must be included in the modification request submitted to the ASC. There was some concern about equitable enforcement of rules in the fact, to the extent that some of these current pools are out there with no fences or cages. And I think she has a good point in saying, why don't you enforce those equitably?
We plan to address that in the future.
As
Right.
we've determined with our new introduction of standards do change over the years. The new color palettes and the structural issues that we're dealing with on properties and the work that the committee put into that shows that standards that were in effect in 1995 maybe don't apply now. The committee determined here that based on this unique situation that they would like to propose a revision as the one I just mentioned, as long as it complies with Collier County rules.
State. Was there a second to Rick's motion? Anybody?
That's a motion.
John Irish seconds it. Discussion or questions for Rick? Lydia?
Gosh,
This is just to mention that I remember when this came up quite a few years ago.
Okay.
I think it was when there was a house in Deer Creek that had a pool. And they had put it in during that time, and then he wanted to put a pool enclosure up, and so,
No, when it came up before in Deer Creek, the gentleman was adding addition to his home
addition, that
and
was it,
putting in a pool.
and putting in the pool.
He wanted to install a fence, and at that time, the Architectural Standards Committee explained that per our standards, pool cages are required. We did address this item with our attorney, and they found that it was enforceable.
Yeah.
Even though the developer did install some houses without cages previously.
But I know that we did make the motion that all new pools would have to have an enclosure.
Right.
And so it did almost grandfather in the past one, so that would, only new ones had to include the pool enclosure
Yeah,
with the architectural thing,
I don't think we can
Right.
grandfather them. No,
Yeah, I
and
think,
probably not.
I think the issue is that it isn't up to county codes.
Right,
And so the issue is there's a safety liability and we need to be following this being implemented. The plan is to determine and identify all the pools that don't meet the new standard and give them notice. And at that point, they have a certain amount of time, we'll determine to become compliant, and if not, then we go send them to code enforcement.
well, I don't think there's a pool constructed here that doesn't have a code compliant fence.
Okay,
There are pools in here that don't have a cage, but every pool that doesn't have a cage, which
Does have an enclosed fence?
does
have a
have
fence,
a
right.
code
Okay.
compliant.
I wasn't aware. I thought that was not true.
Yeah,
I-
that's.
I thought
what it
there
is.
were some that did not.
No.
Okay,
That is her stance, is that there
Well-
are 4 or 5 pools within Sterling Oaks that do not have a cage,
But they do have a
but they do have a
state
fence.
legal fence.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
she's willing to do that.
yeah,
That's, we
Well, yeah,
talked
she has
about,
to do
we
that.
talked about liability and we said, first she said, well, it's not us. And I said, it's not on you. The community's gonna be brought in as a defendant on anything. So they're gonna comply with that. I personally think, looking at it, is it, in this particular issue with the property the way it is it a hardship to any of the neighbors if they do that, the way that it's proposed?
With the fence?
With the fence,
County
right?
code.
Is it truly a
I
hardship?
think it's a simple proposition. If state law and county law says you can either have a fence or a cage, then our rules here should have the exact same compliance requirements.
And that's what
Whether
Rick's
it's
motion,
fence-
that's what Rick's motion
That's what
says.
the ASC
And-
today,
It's a moot point. We just should update our standard.
that's what the
let
architectural
her
standards
just-
committee today is putting in place. In
Right.
the years past, they wanted to maintain consistency throughout Sterling Oaks. So
Right.
like if you're standing in Wildcat Cove and you have 100 houses surrounding a lake, they didn't want cage, fence, cage, you know, they wanted to
Right.
maintain that.
Understood.
Aesthetically.
But that's not the case now. We
This
still have,
architectural standards committee says that they believe the fence is in compliance with law.
Right.
They believe it aesthetically looks pleasing. They don't mind if they're standing around a lake and there's that variation.
Yeah, I don't really care about aesthetics, it's safety that was my concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Mulligan,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what John just said, as long as they have one or the other, and I think it's a good motion and we should go with it.
anyone else? All in favor of Rick's motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Carrie. Landscaping, Lindia.
This is submitted by our chair, Linda Moxley. Phase 2, this phase was delayed due to the drought and was planted in late June. Phase 2 covers most of Sterling Oaks Boulevard. Area scheduled for sod will be delayed as sod fields are flooded. And we are awaiting suitable product, so somebody had rain. Phase
It wasn't here.
No, I know.
You can come get it from my
I
yard.
think, well, Phase 3, we are awaiting a revised estimate for the section of Sterling Oaks Boulevard that goes to the clubhouse exit. However, for now, we request approval of $2,532.25 for the following. Estimate 1, condo median island, 1,022. Estimate 2, pool deck spa area, 902. And estimate 3, pool deck parking lot redo the pots, $608.25. For that grand total of $2,532.25. Estimates for new areas requested for phase 4 are the pool deck by the parking lot requesting additional work to remove some plants and add new ones. New hedge to replace the one from Willow Bend to approximately all seasons. Starting at the end of the preserve by Wildcat to the fence approximately across from the condo entrance, add new planting. And the first part would require all new plantings and the remaining established areas only need some shrubs added. Other areas reviewed, condo fence line along 41, that comes up quite often. Plants that died during the drought were replaced, which accounts for some plants appearing smaller than others. Most of the other areas are currently thriving and hopefully with the rains, we anticipate growth of more recent plantings. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion for, what was it, 2532?
25.
Yeah.
A little over $2,500. Do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Rick Sanders, any discussion about our landscaping proposal? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Activities report from Mr. Irish. Do you have something you'd like to share with
I
us?
do. So the meeting was held on July 18th, dedicated to the analysis of the activity survey and how the committee can be as responsive as possible to that community. They were happy to receive almost 20% of the respondents returned the survey. Most homeowners acknowledge that they learn about events through emails, so it's really important we maintain those email blasts going out. It was agreed to continue Friday night dinners. At that meeting, it was 4 times a month, John, so we're gonna cut them back to 2. I'll notify Debbie. It will not be necessary to have entertainment on every Friday night. Pub nights will remain on Tuesdays, We learned that they should limit activities that compete with pub nights and Friday nights. And we be careful not to overload the schedule with any other additional activities. Outdoor activities are difficult since they have to be brought indoors in case of inclement weather. And the clubhouse had limited capacity if we book those large events outside. We will offer poolside entertainment once in January, twice in February, and twice in March, offering a variety of music as much as possible as requested from the survey. So significant changes from last season, John. Entertainment that is new to Sterling Oaks will be tried out poolside. So this will give all of our members an opportunity to see some new entertainment and have their voices heard in that area. The concert series will consist of 2 presentations, and the committee will strive to present musical talent with a wow factor. At the next meeting, they're going to spend some time analyzing the open-ended comments, which were significant, the ones that I glanced through. Melanie, you were happy to attend it for me. Could you add?
Yeah, I was gonna add a couple of comments. It was a great meeting. The Friday night dinners, 4 times a month, I think that was in season only.
Okay,
So that was, I think that, I may be incorrect, but every other week is for the off season, and I think this was
okay.
go back to maintain it 4 times a month in season.
Correct, John, right?
Yes, it was just the off season.
That's what we talked about, yep.
Okay.
And then, we did discuss new entertainment, and Nicole and I are working on that. I have some contacts, and she's also got a list of some new entertainment she'd like to see, so we're working on that, as well as I am going to be pursuing, getting the concert series band at least partially covered through Blue Stream. I'm gonna try to work a member appreciation event with them. We'll see how that goes. I have a meeting with them, but.
I also want to take the opportunity to thank all the members, Debbie Panisi, Becky McFarland, Missy Giovanna, Suzanne Fico, Nicole Greiser, and Barb Gargula. Thank everyone for their hard work on this effort today.
Well, thank you, John. Pickleball, do we have Mr. Coyle Tiger or someone gonna read that or just?
And I'll give a summary of it. When did I send that last night? I received a pickleball report from the pickleball committee just to highlight some items. The pickleball committee is preparing a proposal to the board to develop a list of certified instructors to offer lessons, clinics, and things of such. I did ask the pickleball committee just to table this item until Melanie can get on board and wrap her head around everything here, and this being one of them. The committee has confirmed that there are 6 leagues that are gonna participate in the next season. They're discussing the possibility of hosting an exhibition and or a demo day, maybe in conjunction with like a tennis demo day with Pro-Am. So we're working on that. They will continue to probably try to utilize the open play schedule that they had last year, but introduce a new level up challenge days during the advanced time slot, try to get people that are maybe on that higher intermediate level to join the advanced for a little bit more competition and alleviate the high intermediate time slot, because there's lots of players there. They do have a list of maintenance items or areas that they would like some additional, maybe some updates or just to look at around the courts, like leveling out the bleachers and maybe installing some stone around them, sealing the pavers and just routine maintenance. And they do have a response in here about the Zoom committee meetings that the board addressed, but that was also in your packet previously, and that will address under old business.
Okay, any questions about pickleball? Okay, now we're down to old business Zoom committee meeting. I guess I'll start it off with a motion and then we can discuss it. And my motion would be that we try it until January 1st. That would be Zoom only with no input or no, they'd be muted. They could watch and listen, but they couldn't participate. And there would be no YouTube recording. I think that we owe it to our residents to do that. I think not doing it just leads to too much suspicion, and quite frankly, we have nothing to hide. So, discussion.
Give me a second.
Second, I'm sorry, John Mulligan seconds
Yeah.
it. Discussion also, John?
Yeah, I totally agree that we should Zoom all the meetings. I know the finance finance committee was in favor of it. As you said, we have nothing to hide. People could come now, so I think it's a no-brainer.
As I said, I forgot to mention that part. They can come now in person, so we're not even changing our policy. We're just making it easier with technology. I mean, they can come now, and they don't for the most part, and they don't say anything. So I really think it's a moot point. But any other discussion, go ahead.
How do you Zoom a landscape meeting when you're out on the golf cart?
Well, if you're in the golf course, then you can't zoom it.
That's what we do, yeah.
And we're not doing remote Zoom. We're not doing traveling Zoom.
Same thing with-
No traveling Zoom. Yeah, Linda mentioned that to me. She said, most times you do it on the golf cart. I said, well, then obviously you're not gonna be zooming anything from a golf cart. Anyone else?
I just have a couple questions. You said through January, in November, December, sometimes we have meetings where the committee's fully here. If somebody requests attendance and we don't have Zoom already set up for the members,
If the meeting's here, they can come. We don't have to zoom it.
we don't have to Zoom.
We don't have to
Okay.
zoom it.
So we're only gonna do this if Zoom is set up for committee participation.
Yeah,
Can we set like that a request needs to be made at least 24 hours in advance, not 10
each person
minutes?
would make a request also.
Can we do it like, give us a timeline, like 24 hours in advance rather than like 15
Whatever, I
minutes
think
before the
24
start of
hours,
the meeting?
at least 24 hours in advance would be fair.
Just so we can make sure we get that information. We know we're not always sitting at our email.
Right, I mean,
Okay.
someone does it an hour before the meeting, then
Yeah.
that is what it is. John,
Question though, you just said that if in November, December, we have a lot of people there, so we're not gonna Zoom it. There's still a hell of a lot of people not there. I think we should, every meeting should have Zoom. Because a lot of people aren't here, whether it's in season or out of season. Why wouldn't we Zoom every meeting?
that's a good question. Any reaction to that?
I agree with John, and I think one of the things that we can require, just what was mentioned here, is that if a person wants to attend a Zoom meeting, they have to request the link to get into Zoom, and it just wouldn't be open automatic. Email wouldn't go out to everybody saying this is the link. The people would have to email a request to Cezanne.
That would
Yeah.
be very difficult to manage for Cezanne, and I don't think it's the best use of the office's time. Why wouldn't we just send a link and whoever wants to join, join?
I
Well-
don't mind. I think like Nicole can have the link to activities. The requests can be made to her. Tennis eventually will have theirs. I already manage 7 committees. I'm gonna have the links. It's fine by me. I don't think we're gonna get many requests, so I don't think we're gonna be bombarded. I had another point and I completely.
And like, we said, we can see how this goes until January, because that does get us through some of the heavier preseason months, and so we can see how it
I
goes
remember.
until January. And if it is, being problematic for management, we can think about improving the process or how we can do that. We could set up like a centralized email address. I mean, we could talk about
The other,
various
See how it
things.
goes.
the other question I had, are we limiting this? We say members, do we wanna limit this to homeowners only? We're not permitting sisters that live here or
I
non-resident
would-
members
yeah.
to join?
Yeah.
Owners only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I believe tennis members should be allowed to access the tennis
Yeah.
committee meetings.
Yes,
Okay, so non-resident tennis members have that ability.
just
wanna
for
make
that,
sure
just for
we're-
that committee.
Okay,
Those are the only outside members we have, right? Yes. Rick?
The ASC looked at that and looked in your packet. The first bullet point there was privacy concerns. There's a lot of discussion with specific homeowners, often by name. And someone said, well, how about an address? Address, you can still find it if you go in the directory. There was really some concerns about privacy, somebody finding out, oh, did you hear my neighbor got flagged by this? And they thought it was sort of a problem situation and came out not in favor of it.
I would say 2 things to that, is if they came to the meeting live, they would hear the same thing. So I don't see the difference. And secondly, if your house needs painting, maybe you should paint it. Maybe you
Yes.
need to hear your name and say, you need to paint your house.
Well, we
Maybe
put
that-
it- We put the violations in the report anyway, so does it matter?
Exactly.
Not the names. just
Well,
the
they don't, they
numbers.
put the.
No, not the
violation-
name, the number.
Oh, they just put a case number in there.
Hey, absolutely. You guys wanna put case numbers in there? Go ahead.
I don't know.
That's your choice. John?
Plus, if you're really worried about people find out, which, as you said, maybe they should find out, like we do when we do the delinquent report, every person has a number.
Yep.
So you could say F864, blah, blah, blah.
Can we do
I mean,
that?
we're not gonna.
You can do
verbally
that.
Use that information when we sit in a meeting. There's just
Yeah.
no way I can search membership numbers. When I'm talking
Right.
about a house. It is what it is. When it comes to the ASC, if there is a private personal matter that the Architectural Standards Committee, or I think any committee needs to handle, they can go into maybe executive
executive
session
session.
to handle that matter.
Just.
Absolutely. If there's something that you feel is gonna create a big problem, then just call Melanie or we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think not doing it is a huge
Yeah.
mistake. Any other discussion? All right, we already seconded, right?
Yes, I have, just so I can make sure we're clear, a motion was made by Steve to offer homeowners, in parentheses, non-resident members are permitted to join tennis, to join by Zoom only, not able to participate, and no recording permitted until January. A request must be made 24 hours in advance. A
Does
request.
that really give you enough time?
I'm personally really like on my email all the time. I might not be on my email 15 minutes prior, but I think 24 hours
Is
is,
that up?
because a committee only legally has to post notice 48 hours.
That's
in
what I was gonna
advance.
say, make it 48, make it consistent, so
But,
we
but
don't
if
have
the,
different durations.
but if we notice it on 48 hours, the person's not gonna get the fair opportunity, at
Yeah,
48 hours
24 is-
also. So I think, because we only have to give 48 hours notice of a meeting. If I say
Yep.
you only have 48 hours to, it's the same
Right,
timeline.
that
I'm not
makes
giving
sense.
anybody
All right.
ability.
And John, if it's the same participation as the live meetings, it's gonna be one or two.
Right.
So I
I'm
don't really.
thinking more about
yeah.
resources. So
Yeah,
it's not-
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can I
Well,
ask a question, please?
January, so we can work those things out. Go ahead, Ed.
People are allowed to speak prior to a board meeting. Would we allow people to submit something in writing to be read at the meeting? Kind of like a comment section, period?
I guess we hadn't talked about that, but I would guess at a committee meeting, even knowing what the agenda is, I don't know, Ed. My gut is to say no. Just listen, and if you've got a concern, you can come to the board.
Not a committee.
Not at a committee meeting. First of all, they're non-decision making committees. They're advisory. They're advisory. So no matter what they say, they're advisory. So that's kind of why I feel like just open it up and let people listen if they want to.
Okay,
Anyone else?
I think the committees can handle that individually.
I think so. Like Rick said, if Rick knows he's got a sensitive one, then you go to a number or you do what you have to.
I'm not sure how many are gonna come to.
He's gonna say.
Can I ask a
You had
question?
no problem putting my name out there, Rick, when I got written up.
Well,
You had no
don't-
problem putting my name out.
Go, Lucy.
Hi, can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead, Luz.
Hi, is there a reason why we're not recording them?
I think Mr. Coyle, had the concern of they're not a decision-making committee. There's a lot of back and forth discussion. I know the pickleball committee and other committees felt the committee meetings, they should be a free form area for them to discuss things. And they didn't want, if Bob disagreed with Jan, for Bob to be recorded and posted online, he doesn't agree with me, when ultimately the committee's approval all went with Jan's response. They wanted to be able to have a discussion and talk about things and not be nailed to the cross for how their personal opinion felt. And they just felt that recording would cause.
And that would be a change in what we're doing now. We don't record live meetings.
Yeah, and I
I
would
know.
say that's for
Okay,
maintenance, upkeep,
so,
and then it becomes a record
Uh,
and
I don't
all
think
of
you wanna
that.
do that. I
so
don't-
the
I don't-
meeting, so there would be a option to come virtually or in person, and then it would be, the meeting would then further be supported by the minutes of the meeting that would be sent out to, that would be posted, right? That's,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
I'm,
Anyone
I'm
Go ahead.
good. Thank you.
You're good? Anyone else? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, carried. Next item is pickleball bocce courtyard tables. I brought this up last time just so we could look at the number. It would kind of end this whole furniture thing. I'm just happy Chap's not here because I told him I wouldn't buy any more furniture. Okay, and it would just kind of finish the whole thing. I mean, we got the tennis furniture, we got the pool furniture. It would just kind of get pickleball, bocce behind the building here. It would just kind of get us all updated. It's a little bit more than I hoped for, but I kind of wanted to throw it out there to you guys to see how you felt about it.
I can give you a little summary. When Steve asked for this, I worked with Rick Manoni from Bocce to ask their needs for tables and chairs down there. I asked the pickleball committee, who primarily was Zoe Shorts, who's also on the architectural standards committee. They worked together with a few of their committee members to decide what they would like to see best at the pickleball area. And I also asked Zoe, I think Lauren maybe chimed in to help me with Nicole on ideas for the courtyard. The courtyard would be probably our biggest change, not having 8 or 6 little 4 tops that all get pushed together and there's just a mess of chairs. We're
The
thinking,
leftovers
yeah,
is what's
you
up.
know, we're thinking more so long, big rectangular 8 tops that would fit down there. Cause the tennis groups always push them together or cornhole. So right now it's just a scattered mess. So that's your proposal in here. These chairs match. The chair frames are the same exact frames we have all over the place. The fabric is complements what we have. It is a different color stripe compared to what we have at the pool, but that way we would know that this chair doesn't belong in the pool, it belongs in the courtyard. The tables are all also the same color of what we have, but like pickleball, like I said, they're different shapes and sizes, maybe.
Same style though, that we
Yes,
have.
yes.
Same style that we have.
They're pretty.
They are, they're very, very nice. They're very, very nice. Any other I make a motion that we accept the proposal for new furniture for pickleball, bocce in the courtyard as outlined in your packets. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Lindy has seconded it. Any other discussion?
I'm
Is there
assuming,
any reason why we only received one quote?
This is the company that has been used for the last several years to replace all the furniture at the pool and tennis courts. That's just who I
And
went
we did
to.
do quotes back then, Ed, and we were happy with that
That-
contract, so we decided to go with them again.
And the numbers are kind of comparable with what we've done in the past?
Price wise, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Lucy, did you have something?
I'm
good?
assuming this is in budget.
John, would you like to comment on that?
Yep, I was just gonna say, part of these items are in reserve. It's all gonna come out of reserves. So part of it is we might not have all that much, but that's not uncommon when we take things out of reserves. Either we overestimate the cost or underestimate it, or the years also. So part of it is in reserve, so we can handle this, yes.
Thank
We
you.
can handle this. Okay, anyone else? Discussion?
Does anybody want to buy any of the old tables and chairs? I'll personally deliver them to your patio.
Anyone else? Okay, all in favor? Alright, any opposed? Carried. Lindy has asked me to add one additional item she has a question on or a comment on, so the floor is yours, lady.
Okay, so when I bring this up, before anybody jumps in with their reason, I just like to go through my reasons. I am opposed to us YouTubing board meetings to the whole world. I am in favor of YouTube to owners, members. But I looked up other communities' YouTubes. Guess what? You can't find a YouTube of their board meetings. They might say we only YouTube to our owners or residents. I could not find one, and I spent a couple hours in the afternoon looking up a lot of communities that put the whole YouTube of our personal board meetings out to the whole world. I don't think it's right. Nobody looks up your board meetings to buy because they aren't there. You can't find them. So I think we should come up with a plan where it goes to the owners, the residents, the members. But I don't think it's anybody's business, and I think it's a violation of our privacy to have our personal board meetings of Sterling Oaks put out to the whole world.
That's a good point. I'm sure most of us didn't even know that was happening. Melanie, would you comment?
Typically, the way I see this is, it is a video, a page on the website past the member login. So past the owner login, you can have a page on the website and you can post the board videos there. And that's so that you can control access by something you already have in place. So we'd have to look into how
Yeah,
we could do that, but
I feel like we used to, at the very beginning, we recorded it and then posted it, and then it turned into, I wanted to watch it live, maybe because I think it was during COVID time and people couldn't
Might
be
have
here
been.
presently, so they wanted to like see it in real time. I know via Zoom, I can record it and not post it to the YouTube. I can
And that's
record it and
typically what
then
I
we
see.
can
Yeah.
post it after the fact,
Mhm.
so we just don't need to go live, like.
I don't know hardly any communities that do it live.
All right, so I think it's a good point. Let's look at it, put it on the agenda for next meeting
Okay.
and, look into it a little and see what we can do. But I would agree, we don't need to broadcast it. I'm sure the rest of the world's really not interested in our board meeting.
Well, and I
but-
think when you're selling a house, the last thing you want is somebody to start reading or listening to all the board minutes and go, wow, this community's got some issues, when we really don't, and deter sales.
Right,
Okay, thank you, Linda. That wasn't even on the agenda.
I know, I sneaked it.
Yeah, you did. Any other comments from any of your board member on anything before we adjourn?
One comment, those committee budget requests or recommendations, capital project expenditures for 2026 we ask that you have those submitted by August 1st. I do have pickleballs, landscaping, I know activities is a different ball game. Tennis, I don't have any special capital requests from you, but just in case there's something floating out there, just make sure you get them in.
Lucy, go ahead.
Thanks. I know Melanie's got a lot going on right now, but something we should put on the radar is to dust off the strategic plan that hasn't been discussed or reviewed for some time, so that we can make a plan going forward.
Mel and I discussed that. We're waiting for you to get into town because we're hoping that you're gonna, head that.
Okay.
When are you coming back?
Probably not till after Christmas.
Oh, all right. Well,
You just got our new
I feel like, all
house.
right, you know, I need your help. Get down here. I need your help.
Okay, I haven't even moved into my own house yet. Next week I get settled and then I'll figure it out. We'll
Once you get
chat.
that house settled, then you can come down here and settle this one. Yeah.
We
Okay,
can do it, Lucy.
Yeah,
Okay.
you two should touch base though.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I make a motion that we adjourn
Are we
this
doing
meeting,
the next meeting, August 28th?
August 28th so far,
Okay.
yes.
Got it.
Melanie will be official by then. Any second for my motion? Rick Sanders, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.